Excuse me, everyone. Can I have your attention, please?
Whatever you do.
Please take your seats.
Definitely consider the military. We need people like you.
Beautiful day here
Yeah.
in Miami. That's where I was yesterday. Addison. Addison. That's not you.
Okay, may I have your attention, please? This is the captain of the starship, Sealy B. Parrish. The safety announcement. Exits are located in front and rear of the building. To the left and right of your seats. Okay, there be no seat belts to fasten. There be no oxygen mask dropping from the ceiling. At this time, I ask that you silence your ground control devices. Okay. AKA cell phone, please. We'll be flying approximately for an hour and a half. We'll be cruising at ground level, untethered. And as your captain, we're going to have a great flight with a smooth landing. Now, welcome everyone to American Legion Post 457, and especially World War II veteran Addison Sheckler and Deputy Consul General Gill. How blessed we are to celebrate this moment together today. On behalf of Post Commander Tom Baker, I'm Tom Walsh, President of the Board of Sealy B. Parrish. Before I begin, I would like to share a few details about our post. Private Sealy B. Parrish was a veteran of World War I, and he died in France, served and died in France. Posted by our area, there's pictures of Private Sealy, along with a biography and a treasured handwritten letter dated 1918. Post 457 has 303 members, of which 24 are active duty. Sons of American Legion has 336. Our auxiliary 165 members, and our post rider group has 23 members. Our post color guard is very active with parades and military honors with 25 members. For 19 years, our post, once in one, has relocated our ceremonial POW MIA table to area businesses, including our high school at Midlands. Internationally, for 48 years, our post has exchanged hands across the border with our Canadian friends. Now, to our golfer friends, green fees are $5. Can you beat that anywhere? Currently, we have the second largest post in Ontario County, and we're working to be the largest. We are part of the 7th District of New York. Now, monies raised by our post volunteer activities are donated back to community service, and most importantly, veteran programs. All sections on our consolidation report are checked with donations totaling over $100,000. We are a small post with a big heart. Thank you and blessings to you. Now, it is my great honor to have the pleasure to introduce a person who in just a short period of time has become a dear friend. He wears his heart on his sleeve. This is a special gift that produces successful results. He is very detailed, an excellent communicator, and all the background knowledge and credits to help all veterans. During World War II, 12 of his family members, Army, Navy, Army Air Force, served, and 2 of those participated in D-Day invasion on June 6, 1944. One U.S. Navy sailor, Ahmed Ismar, was killed on that longest day. He has traveled to Normandy many times to honor his great uncle, buried in France, but also to help the cemetery staff decorate the graves of some 9,389 men and women who rest peacefully within the Normandy American Cemetery. Today, he is here to help us tribute to Master Sergeant Sheckler with France's greatest honor, the French Legion honor. Kindly join me in welcoming Eric Montgomery, who will guide us through the rest of the program here this afternoon. Eric, welcome.
Thank you very much, Tom. And thank you for everyone enjoying this celebration today. I want to mention a few things about Tom. And just in the last few weeks, we have gained a really strong affinity for each other. And I cannot put a program like this together without the allied support of people that I don't know that are thousands of miles from where I live. So I want to say thank you to Tom. And I have some prepared remarks, but that comes from my heart. Over the past few weeks, I've come to know Tom, his service, and a special commitment to help me in organizing today's ceremony. In the numerous phone conversations we've had in developing this program, we have never lost focus as to what this program is all about. Honoring Cal Sheckler and embracing the bond of friendship America has with our longest ally, France. I think it's safe to say that the ceremony of this kind has never been held here at Post 457. And as I shared information about Tom, about the significance of the Legion of Honor, and Cal's unique part in helping win the Second World War in Europe, that level of commitment has increased, not only with Tom, but all of Post 457. As Tom pointed out in his welcome, the post is named in honor of World War I soldier Seeley B. Parrish. Private Parrish served in the 307th Infantry Regiment of the 77th Infantry Division. whose unit patch proudly depicts the Statue of Liberty, a gift from our French allies. Private Parrish was not killed in action, but he died after developing pneumonia in a hospital in France 9 days following the end of World War I. Today, Private Parrish rests peacefully with famous Sierentz American Cemetery. Sierentz overlooks one of the world's most famous engineering triumphs, the Eiffel Tower. Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames and messieurs, I welcome you to this celebration of liberty and freedom as we pay tribute to a unique and honorable man who served this great country where and when America called upon him, trained him to be a soldier, instilled in him great courage and fortitude, and gave him the opportunity to employ his wit and wisdom to resolve a unique challenge few can imagine, let alone understand. Over the next hour, we will honor Mr. Sheckler in several different ways. We will hear testimony from his family, how his service and millions like Cal inspired generations of future servicemen and women, and how remembering the past secures a better future for us all. We will also learn about his service that brought peace and freedom to the oppressed peoples of France and Europe as a whole. Honor him with France's highest honor, and pay tribute to him from our own elected leaders. To all in attendance and watching across the globe live on YouTube right now, thank you for honoring Mr. Sheckler and each other with your presence here today. At this time, I would ask all of you to rise, if you are able. Place your hand over your heart, and for those in uniform, render appropriate honors as the color guard from post 457 present the colors. Commander?
Color guard. Okay, set. Forward, march. Forward, march.
At this time, I'd like to ask all of you to please rise, stay as you are, as I ask Mrs. Brenda Mosier from Post 457 Auxiliary and Auxiliary Color Guard to perform our national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner. Brenda?
Present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Post, colors. 2. Forward, arm. Right face. Forward, march.
Thank you, ladies Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. I want to thank Brenda for your performance and, of course, answering the call for those in service was another part of your service. The color guard, as mentioned by Tom during his opening introductions, engages in not only parade duty but special events that many members take part in, especially ceremonial duties honoring a passing veteran. Providing that last moment of respect with empathy and compassion, every member faces a challenge in each service. Emotions can run very high, with weather being unpredictable. During those memorials, every member of an honor guard team faces that challenge, if not on a weekly, but sometimes daily basis, and sometimes multiple times during the day. As an honor guard member myself, I would just like to say thank you to the team for doing such a wonderful job here this afternoon. And of course, recognize Mr. John Sermon, the commander of the Honor Guard Group, who served the United States Navy for 23 years. Let us recognize the efforts of these former servicemen and women for their continued commitment to those that serve. Before we progress further into our program today, I'd like to take a moment to remember those in uniform who have served for the cause of liberty and freedom. Many came home from duty abroad with memories and experiences very difficult to forget, yet sadly, some gave much more. They rest in cemeteries across the globe, and some were never found. Friends, I'd ask you to please join me in a moment of silence, remembering those who have given their last full measure towards the maintenance of peace. Thank you. And now please kindly give me the privilege to introduce our special guests and presenters of this unique program. This is just a lineup of who you're going to see during the program today. First and foremost, Miss Miriam Gill, Deputy Consul of France, New York, New York. She's to my right. Mrs. Susan Sheckler, daughter of Mr. Sheckler. The extended family and friends of Mr. Sheckler. Representing the United States Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Mr. Austin Pence. Representing Congresswoman Claudia Tenney of the 24th Congressional District, Mr. Josh Fahey. Senator Pamela Helming, 54th Senate District of New York. Assemblyman John Lamondes, Assembly District 126 of New York. Assemblyman Brian excuse me, Brian, you're going to have to help me. Mantillo. Thank you so much. I just met him a moment ago. He is with Assembly Group 130. Assemblyman Jeff Callahan. Are you here today? Hi. He is from Assembly District 131 and the representative of the area of Phelps. Captain Jason Carr, 107th Attack Wing, New York Air National Guard. Representing the Governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, Mr. Jason Shatta, Deputy Commissioner with the New York State Department of Veterans Services. Mr. James Cheney, Mayor of the Village of Phelps. And once again, I want to thank Mr. Tom Lush, Board Member of Post 457, and all the members of American Most Legion Post 457. Thank you. I'm sure that many of you are veterans and active duty military present here today. Thank you for your service, then and now. And of course, seated to my right, and the biggest applause goes to Master Sergeant Addison Sheckler. He's only waited 102 years for this. It's amazing, you know, really, 102 years of age, and 11 children. We'll get into that here in a minute. But everybody is alive and well and healthy. And I just wanted to, it's amazing. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and now kindly let me introduce you the first of several featured speakers today. Like most post-war families, war stories around the dinner table were seldom spoken about, and life at home was just too busy to concentrate on much else than providing for and raising a family. And of course, like I just said, there was a lot of raising to do and a lot of providing for in the Sheckler family, 11 children. I doubt that the word busy really truly adequately describes the daily routine within the Sheckler household. So let me explain that a little bit further. In developing Cal's application for the French Legion of Honor this past May, along with his youngest child, Jesse, I was somewhat surprised to find out that Cal and his beloved wife, Marjorie, bore 11 children in total. And of those, 38 grandchildren, and of those, 22 great-grandchildren. A whole army within itself. It's amazing, really. And as those original evidence gathering efforts concentrated on Cal's time in the service, outside of the immediate family structure, I know really truly little about life within the Sheckler homestead and what that was like. And with that in mind, I would like to call upon Cal's oldest daughter, Susan, to provide a glimpse of what that word busy truly meant. Family and friends, please kindly join me in welcoming Cal's firstborn daughter, Susan Sheckler.
I'd like to begin by thanking people who've just been thanked, but from our family. This is a really, really wonderful opportunity to honor my father and my family, all of us, all 11 of us, and all of the next generation, and up to the next generation. Can you not hear? Okay. Is that better? Yes. Okay. Sorry. So I'm here. I would like to begin by thanking the French consulate and representative, Ms. Miriam Gill, Deputy Consul General of France in New York, New York. Thank you. American Legion 457 and Board President Tom Lush. American Legion Post 457 Color Guard and the Sons of American Legion Post 457 and the Post Auxiliary. Representatives of United States Senator Charles Schumer and United States Senator Christine Gillibrand and Congresswoman Claudia Tenney. And then I'm going to thank people that I knew who were coming, but I heard some other names and I don't need to read you out. I just don't have them on my piece of paper. So thank you if you came to honor my father. I really appreciate it. New York State Senators Rachel May, Senator Pamela Helming, and State Assemblyman John Lamondis, the Representative Kathy Hochul, Governor of the State of New York, Mayor James Cheney of the Village of Phelps, and organizer Eric Montgomery. We'll look forward to advocate, and it's been great working with Eric in sharing this in our women and men. We want to make a very big thank you for Eric. I'd like to begin. I was charged with talking about what life was like after the war for my father, really. And I want to say that it's been it's been a long and full life, and I'd like to talk a little bit about that. My dad was 21 when he landed in Normandy, tasked with the job of completing the connection of the Atlantic cable and reestablishing communications between the United States, France, and the European continent. He did that and then established the cable station there. It's hard to emphasize enough how important communications are in wartime. I've always been proud of what my dad accomplished there and the lives he saved by doing that hard work. My dad recently told me that at the end of the war, he was offered a lucrative salary to remain in France and to continue to operate the cable station. He, however, had been carrying his college textbooks with him in his backpack throughout his deployment. Something he told me was stupid, especially when he had to carry them up the cliffs during the landing at Normandy. He was eager to go back to college, so he chose to go home to Philadelphia and back to school at Drexel University to complete his engineering degree. It was a good thing for us, his 11 children, that he did that, because he soon met our mother, Marjorie, the love of his life. They agreed early in their relationship that they wanted a large family. The number 9 kept coming up, but they ended up with 11. And when my dad graduated and they moved to upstate New York, where he had taken a job in the research lab at General Electric, they bought the very large house and small farm where we grew up and where he still lives. They moved in when my older brother was an infant, and I came along 2 years later. I'm supposed to be speaking for the family, but I found that I had to speak for myself, and I hope that I speak for the family as well, but I am speaking for myself and when I'm talking about our family. My dad was very excited about the work he was doing at GE, where he and his team were engaged in building that first working transistor. If you have a phone in your pocket, you can thank my dad. One of the things that my father did there was to figure out how to grow a germanium crystal. Before silicon, a thin slice of germanium provided the base conductor on which a transistor was built, and it was rare. So growing the crystals was a very important part of the process. One of my first memories when I was about 4 is of my dad showing me a germanium crystal that he had grown. And I can remember how it felt in my hand. It was something that really impressed me. Another memory of my dad at that time was that every evening after dinner, he would read me a story. It was important to me, and I'd spend time each day choosing the book I wanted him to read. That didn't last, though, because about that time, he bought his first tractor and started farming our land. By the time I was in 6th grade, he was farming 300 acres, as well as working first at GE, then at Carrier, then commuting to Rochester to work at Xerox. And by then, he had 8 children as well. Eventually, he had 11 children and was farming 2,000 acres all over the county. He worked on color xerography at Xerox, and he worked on his own inventions as well. He invented, patented, and built a combine for the kidney beans that were one of his main crops, and an insulated cement block, among other projects. But my dad was also always at the dinner table at 6 p.m., even if we went out to farm afterwards until 2 a.m. I think that every single one of us would tell you that dinner table conversation with my dad were one of our most important memories of growing up with him. He was interested in what we were doing, and he shared with us what he was thinking, doing, and hoping for in the future. And he gave not just a little advice for hours. We didn't see a lot of him sometimes, especially during the spring, summer, and fall when he was farming, but we conversed with him every day at the dinner table. My dad and I shared a lot of interests, especially history, reading, and theater. Even with everything else he was doing, farming 2,000 acres, raising 11 children, inventing things, he was very busy going to work. But he was also always reading a book, and if you happened to be up at 4 a.m., the chances are that my father was up and reading a book. he started passing on novels to me that he had enjoyed when I was in junior high, inspiring in me a love of reading and learning that has lasted throughout my life. We're proud of the work he did during the war and proud of all that he has accomplished. And to this day, the most common phrase that you will hear from my dad is, "I have an idea." He still thinks he's living another 10 or 20 years so that he can have ideas and carry them out. Invention and creativity, love of family and farming, hard work and curiosity epitomized his life and shape it even now. Thank you on behalf of all of us for this very great honor.
Thank you, Susan. And while you were speaking, Senator May just arrived, so thank you very much, Senator May. We know how busy our legislators are. They're the people that are really taking care of us, not only in DC, but throughout our community. So thank you so much for being with us here. And moving on further, so thank you. Our second speaker today comes in addition to our program as of yesterday. And obviously in developing this program, and as Tom alluded to, I only had a couple of weeks to really put it all together. And in that process, I am always looking for a member of our current military to talk about the greatest generation. And I know that Assemblyman Ramondes is going to talk about this further, but as a representative of our current military, I would welcome to our program this afternoon. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome someone that is serving in our current military, stationed at Niagara Falls Air Reserve Station as Chief of Public Affairs for the 107th Attack Wing. He is responsible for handling all the public media presence of the attack wing itself. With the history of the 107th going all the way back to 1942, the unit today employs one of the most sophisticated platforms in the sky, the Reaper drone. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly join me in welcoming from the New York Air National Guard, United States Air Force Captain Jason Carr.
Good morning, everyone. Everybody hear me in the back all right? No? Take two. Once again, thank you for allowing me to represent the men and women of the 107th Attack Wing, again, out in Niagara Falls, and indeed the New York National Guard. It's a great honor for such a historic occasion. As an Air National Guard unit, with roots tracing back to 1942, the 107th has always felt a deep connection to the generations that came before us, a generation whose bravery and innovation reshaped the world. Today, I am humbled to stand in the presence of one of its finest. Master Sergeant Addison C. Sheckler represents everything we strive to emulate: service before self, technical mastery, and a quiet, unwavering devotion to duty. While others may have fired weapons or flown aircraft, Cal fought a different kind of battle, one that was silent, vital, and invisible to most. His work on the transatlantic undersea cable linking command staff in the United States to their counterparts in Europe was nothing short of revolutionary. Thanks to his ingenuity, those signals traveled clearly, securely, and without error. And through that, lives were saved, battles were won, nations were liberated. We may never fully grasp the precision and pressure of that responsibility. But what we can do, what we must do, is carry forward the values he lived by: integrity, innovation, patriotism, and above all, humility in service. So, on behalf of the 107th Attack Wing and the New York National Guard, we extend our heartfelt congratulations, and we thank you, Master Sergeant Sheckler, for your service, your legacy, and your example. May we continue to rise to the standard you set.
Thank you, Captain Carr, and your service, and all those presently serving today. It is that greatest generation that I know that you're trying to emulate and doing a fun job at it. So thank you, sir. From the moment in which our Revolutionary War Minutemen fired the first shots at Lexington and Concord in 1775, generations of stout patriots have answered our nation's call. And throughout our American history, there have been moments in time which have brought forth another generation of young men and women to defend liberty and restore freedom. In our time, there are millions of Americans alive today that remember where they were when they first heard the news about the attack at Pearl Harbor, and hundreds of millions of more that could say the same about September 11th. Those two examples, among too many in our nation's history, have served to rally our country's citizens to actions. Many of those that did answer the call followed a long line of family members that also served. Whether that service took in place in times of peace or in times of war, oftentimes a forebear's commitment to that service was the catalyst and inspiration to join in their footsteps, to follow their legacy, a legacy to be honored and continued. Inspired by that very legacy of service in his own family, our next speaker chose to serve our great country for 27 years in an Army uniform. Although the design and fabric of those uniforms have changed significantly since the first woven roll was spun for the Minutemen of the American Revolution, the stitches of character that bind them together are much like that of today, taut and unyielding. Culminating his military service and mitigating the efforts of chemical weapons, his service includes combat deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan, where he led the efforts to assure that international treaty obligations were met and upheld. A graduate of Paul Smith College, Penn State University, Syracuse University, the College and General Staff College, and the Eisenhower School for National Resource Strategy. Following his service in the Army, much like Cal Sheckler, he eventually turned to farming as part of his retirement life beyond the service. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to introduce you today our keynote speaker, reflecting upon the inspiring and enduring legacy of the greatest generation, New York State Assemblyman and retired U.S. Army Colonel. Kindly welcome Assemblyman John Lamondis.
You know, when we have gatherings like this, it's most important for the youngest in the room to understand what's transpiring. One generation is giving to the next. And you may not even realize that, but that's what we're doing here today in honoring Master Sergeant Sheckler. Madam Gill, Mr. Lush, Mayor Cheney, Mr. Montgomery, and other elected members and representatives, and of course, Master Sergeant Sheckler and family, whom we're all here to honor. Thank you for giving your time and respect for us to honor this man and his service and commitment to our country in one of its most perilous times. And to allow me to participate in this with you. I will say this is probably one of the greatest honors of my life, short of being a dad, because my father and nearly every man in my family is a veteran. I am the son of a World War II infantryman whose very presence here before you today could be because of Master Sergeant Sheckler's duty. My father got there in November of '44 and fought through the end of the war, through the Battle of the Bulge, November, December, and into January. And we all know the history from there, but I just want to be able to thank Master Sergeant Sheckler, Madam Gill, for your partnership with us, and your family for such a wonderful man and his contributions to so many of us. And we don't even know all the interactions and all of the people that have been saved because of his efforts. As you all know, World War II was the last time we were existentially threatened. And every veteran from that era carried an enormous burden for our survival, well beyond anything we had ever experienced since our founding. As we think about that commitment and patriotism and what it means and what it meant for the members, the men and women of the greatest generation and their families at home supporting them, we can't forget that its preservation falls upon each generation differently, and some more than others as time ebbs and flows and situations and risks and challenges to our country change and evolve. And that wherever you, we, all of us are in our own lives, whatever stage we're in, we still have a duty to nation. No matter how small, how large, we each contribute to our nation and can't forget that. We have duty to our comrades, to our military, to our communities and families. Duty to our families back at home when we're deployed. Duties to never forget. Duties to honor and respect, like we are today, our elders that have gone before us. And to go forward when every bone in your body says don't. And so many of you in this room have participated in that, done that on behalf of our country. And if you haven't, you've got somebody in your family that has. I am comforted myself in knowing that one of my own colleagues here, Assemblyman Mengtalo, and I served in the 1st Armored Division together. We didn't know each other then, but it's an honor to be among people that are committed to our preservation. So duty, ladies and gentlemen, being here today, either as a supportive citizen, parent, family member, friend, teacher, or as a community leader, the likes of which there are so many in this room, is what binds us together. The results of which become the fabric of our country. Interwoven, overlapping, reinforcing, imperfect, yet strong and loyal regardless of how daunting the path forward might be, whatever it is for us individually. Patriotism shows itself in many ways, some quiet and symbolic, while others are direct, overt, and above all necessary, bringing us all together in times of challenge. We cannot retreat, back down, or show weakness, and as a nation have never done so. Recognizing that strength is a noble virtue demonstrated by Master Sergeant Sheckler in his service to our nation in the way he's led his life, along with several million other great Americans throughout our history, and his era as part of the greatest generation. This strength is never to be condemned, demeaned, or weakened, because it's through this strength that we've preserved our union and given freedom to so many others worldwide. And with that freedom comes hope for a better life. It's through strength of character that we overcome these obstacles that are so much bigger than any of us alone, yet require our individual effort and total commitment regardless of the risks involved to tackle. And through this bond of love for each other, of country, families, and communities, we have persevered and will continue to do so as we remember the sacrifices of men and women like Master Sergeant Sheckler in times of struggle, adversity, challenge, and to those that have all gone before us willingly meeting those challenges. These examples of selfless service are necessary for us to continue our nation's existence. And wherever and whenever they appear, the willingness to do so comes from patriotism, comes from people like Master Sergeant Sheckler and our families. And I would say it's the essence of our own existence, and with great reverence and humility and respect, I feel that through you and your sacrifice, I am able to honor so many others, to include my own father and other members of my family and community that I grew up in, who laid the path for so many of us to follow through the present and the generations to come, to secure our pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. May God bless you. May God bless the greatest generation in the United States of America. Thank you all.
Thank you, John, and thank you for your 27 years in the United States Army. I think that deserves a round of applause as well. I was a little confused when I started hearing the term Finger Lakes. Oh boy. And I'm like thinking in my mind, what's this all about? And we have some beautiful countries in the countryside in Tennessee. I'm a Pittsburgh boy originally. Moved to Tennessee about 21 years ago, and really love it there. But I can only imagine as I flew over those Finger Lakes, and the region called the Finger Lakes, and they're kind of two different things, right? The lakes themselves and the region of them. So I was really confused in my mind when I started writing up introductions. But they have to be a sportsman paradise. So those people in this room that know how to cast a fishing pole, that I'm sure is your place to be. Am I right or wrong? Okay, representing New York's 54th Senate District, of which the village of Phelps lies, is State Senator Pamela Helming, a strong supporter of service members and their families, and the proud daughter of a Korean War veteran. She knows and understands the needs of the individual veteran and the challenges that they endure. Aside from her support of veterans and veterans causes, in a district well known for those Finger Lakes, she has been a longtime champion for protection of those lakes and watersheds, clean drinking water, and the area's abundant natural resources. Since being elected to office in 2016, among other legislative efforts and initiatives, Senator Helming helped in achieving the recognition of the Sampson Veterans Memorial Cemetery in New York, its first state veterans cemetery in nearby Waterloo. Ladies and gentlemen, please kindly welcome New York State Senator Pamela Helming.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I can't tell you how wonderful it is to be here for this special moment in history. It brings back a lot of memories too. I think the last time I saw a crowd this size here at the Legion was when we held our annual Veterans Recognition Ceremony. It's just always so wonderful to see so many people coming out to celebrate and commemorate those who serve. But today we're honoring a remarkable individual, and I've been asked to briefly reflect on the true meaning of patriotism and selfless service to country. I do want to give a special shout out to Mayor Cheney for inviting me to be here, and to Eric for all the hard work that you've done and so many others have done to make today possible. I think that everyone in this room can agree that patriotism is something that's not defined just by words. It's defined by sacrifice, courage, and an unwavering commitment to something that is much bigger than oneself. During World War II, when freedom itself was under threat, Master Sergeant Addison Sheckler answered the call to duty. Over the course of this war, almost 16 million Americans served in the U.S. Armed Forces. Like so many of his generation, Mr. Sheckler left behind the comfort of his home, his family, to defend the values that are important to all of us to this day: freedom, liberty, and justice. Their selfless service and the service of our active duty service members is not measured in recognition, but in quiet sacrifice. It's measured in those long days, those uncertain nights, and the risks they're so willingly to accept so that future generations might live in freedom. Mr. Sheckler's courage and the courage of all who serve remind us that the liberties that we enjoy today were secured by ordinary citizens who are doing extraordinary things. And as Assemblyman Lamondis mentioned, it is so incumbent upon each and every one of us to make sure that our young people, that the next generation understands this importance, this significance. For generations, America and our great state of New York has produced men and women whose courage safeguarded our nation. Our region is home of the Finger Lakes, as you just heard. It's also home of Seneca Army Depot, the former Sampson Air Force Base, New York State's first veteran cemetery, which includes an absolutely incredible Gold Star Memorial that was built and paid for by hardworking people, including several people in this room. And of course, we're also home of Waterloo, the birthplace of Memorial Day. As a member of a military family and the state senator for this area, I am so proud to represent a region that has a deep, deep respect for those who wear the uniform. Mr. Sheckler, while others will speak in depth about your remarkable journey, please know that your service and your lifelong example of patriotism have made our state, our nation, incredibly proud. And to your family, to your daughter, I want to say thank you so much for sharing that insight about your family life. Your father is extraordinary in so many ways. But your story of sitting around the dinner table brought back so many warm memories for me too. As you heard, my father served in the Korean War, and times were tough in our family. He worked multiple jobs, so did my mother, but we were always together for dinner. And a quick story, my father never ever talked about his military service. I grew up in Youngstown, Ohio, so I was your neighbor right across the river, right? But he never talked about his service. I had lived in New York State for many years after I graduated from college. And I'll never forget, we were taking a tour of the Finger Lakes with my family. My father came up, my mother came up, and we were down in Seneca County. And as we were driving past the Seneca Army Depot, my father said, I was stationed there. And even my mother said, what are you talking about? And he told us a story about his training there, how when he was 17 years old, he left high school, was put on a train, was sent up here to upstate New York and served in Sampson. When we asked him if he wanted to stop, go visit it, take a look at it, his reply was, no, thank you. His memories of it was the coldest place on earth. Because of those great Finger Lakes and things that flows off of. But today, Mr. Sheckler, I congratulate you on this extraordinary and well-deserved honor. And before I wrap up, I just want to say thank you to the Scoutmaster Tony Green. Gerard, thank you for being here. Thank you for having these young scouts here today so that they can hear again the importance of serving your nation, what it means, and they could be here to celebrate this historic moment. To all of you, may God bless you all. May God bless our veterans and their families, and all of our active duty members who are currently serving all around the world. Please remember them. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Senator Hellman. By the way, I'm a Youngstown State University graduate.
Oh, no, you're kidding.
and the best pizza in the world is in Youngstown, Ohio. Wedgwood.
Wedgwood pizza, I love it.
You're looking at some of it still. Let me tell you, before a soccer match, I would order 2 large, if we're talking the best pizzas ever on the planet, 2 large from Wedgwood, and I would devour one of them before every match, the day before, so I had enough energy the next day. And let me tell you, even though when I'm back in Pittsburgh, I drive all the way to Youngstown to get a pizza and bring it back to Pittsburgh. That's about a 65-mile one-way trip. So, wonderful stuff, wonderful stuff. A special moment has arrived. And I am indeed honored to have the privilege of introducing Deputy Consul General Marion Gill. And although we have not met until just a few moments ago, in the several messages by email and conversations, first and foremost highlighting the importance of this moment and the strong bonds of friendship between France and the United States, that part of our conversation was always paramount in our discussions. Although I've helped quite a few New Yorkers with their submission for the French Legion of Honor, this is indeed the first program that I've had the opportunity to work with the New York City-based French consulate on a program held within the borders of New York State itself. In pursuit of her academic excellence, she attended, and excuse me, but I'm going to butcher this, I know, so I'll just premise that before. She attended the École Normale Supérieure, a school, so how do you pronounce it?
École normale supérieure.
Exactly. The school, well known to be one of the most prestigious educational institutions in France due to its impeccably high standards and selection process of students and the historical role and influence it has within French society. While continuing her studies in 2002, she took a civil service exam that enabled her to be a teacher at the collegiate level, and while concurrently pursuing a graduate degree in geography at the well-known Pantheon-Sorbonne University, I was better with that one, she was able to challenge other students in the geography world to become better at their craft. After earning her first master's degree in 2005, she then pursued a double master's degree in public administration and journalism at the Institut d'études politiques, yes, de Paris. So, how was that? Was that better? Okay. I'm learning as I go. Following completion of her graduate studies in 2006, she joined the French Office for the Protection of Refugees and Stateless Persons until 2011, and then subsequently took that experience into a new role as Chief of Staff to the Deputy for Child Protection within the central government of Paris at Paris City Hall. In 2017, Ms. Gill was admitted to the Ministry of Europe and Foreign Affairs as part of France's Foreign Service. And in her first assignment, she served in Paris within the Communications and Press Department until 2020, when she was then tasked to take on a new assignment as the press counselor at the French Embassy in Rome. Not too bad. In September of 2024, she was assigned as Deputy Consul General at the French Consulate in New York City, and in that role, second only to the Consul General himself, she helps to guide and shape the relationship between France and the United States, and in particular, representing the French government in ceremonies like this today within the states of New Jersey, Connecticut, and of course, New York. Mesdames and Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my privilege to welcome to the Village of Phelps and American Legion Post 457, Deputy Consul General of France in New York, Marion Gill.
Thank you very much. I knew that you were going to do a presentation, but that was quite an impressive one. So, Dear Addison Sheckler, dear family and friends of Mr. Sheckler, esteemed representatives of the citizens of New York State and the towns of Cairo and Phelps, dear veterans that I see over there, dear friends, and also dear young scouts, it's an honor to be with you today to pay tribute to Mr. Addison Sheckler, who fought for the freedom of France and Europe during World War II. And I have to confess that this is the first time I see such a big gathering for a ceremony like this. And I think this is probably first because what you did during the war was really outstanding, but also because you have such a big, loving family and so many friends. So congratulations. It is also very moving to celebrate this award in the year of the 250th anniversary of the independence of the United States, because it is also, as you know, the anniversary of the friendship between France and the US, as we stood as the first and oldest ally during the independence war with our troops. Thank you everyone who helped make this ceremony happen. First, thank you to the American Legion for hosting the ceremony, and also to all the brave veterans, the representatives of Phelps, New York State here today, to all of Addison's family members and friends. And I want to address a special thanks indeed to Mr. Eric Montgomery, who contacted us, helped us through the process, and made this beautiful ceremony possible. Mr. Sheckler, your story is the utmost example of bravery and courage. You entered the US Army in 1943, just a few weeks before your 20th birthday. You served thousands of miles away from your family and friends to liberate my country, to liberate also Europe from German occupation and the barbarity of the Nazi regime. You and your fellow Americans saved millions of lives, our values, and our independence. The French government and the French nation will never forget your bravery and the sacrifice of your fallen companions. We owe you our freedom. We will always remember that. To express France's gratitude, and on behalf of the French President, I will bestow upon you the insignia of Knight of the National Order of the Legion of Honor, which is called in France, La Légion d'honneur. This is for us, for French people, for the French Republic, the highest distinction we have. It was created by Emperor Napoleon in 1802 to recognize men and women who have accomplished exceptional deeds for France and its people. And this is the case for you. Before I proceed to the award, I would like to tell you more about the remarkable man that we have before us, and why France decided to award him this very special distinction. Mr. Sheckler, you were born in Lehighton, a small town in Pennsylvania. Before you entered the war, you worked with the Radio Corporation of America as a radio transmitter testman for 6 months. This experience would be very useful for the US Army. After basic training, you were sent to the US Army's Eastern Signal Corps School in New Jersey. You were trained in undersea cable telegraphy, how to set up and operate a cable station, and high-speed multiplex cables, if I'm not wrong. As you probably know, fast and reliable communication was essential to the Allied war effort. If the Allies wanted to respond to the German Blitzkrieg, which was a surprise attack, as well as launch coordinated air artillery and armored vehicle offensives against a formidable adversary, they needed to be able to coordinate their forces almost instantaneously, or as we would say today, in real time. This is where you and the Army Signal Corps came in. The need for fast and reliable communication was so important that at one time there were more than 350,000 servicemen and women in this branch of the US Army. The role of the Army Signal Corps was essential, and your responsibilities required tremendous skill as well as being heroic. Your team, the 3,104th Signal Service Battalion, Company C, was assigned to support the communication needs of the Supreme Headquarters of the Allied Expeditionary Force, or SHAEF. As you know, this was the joint US-British command unit that was responsible for leading the Allied invasion of Western Europe and that oversaw its land, sea, and air forces. Your first mission was to install a radio teletype radar station and a cross-channel radio relay between Normandy and England. This would allow fast, automated text communication via radio waves between the Allied troops on the front in Normandy and the Allied command in the UK. In July 1944, you arrived on Omaha Beach. The equipment you would need was packed into 139 crates. From what I understand, it took 5 weeks to find the crates among the thousands of tons of supplies that were transported to the Normandy beach. But by August, you and your team of 10 men had established a connection. Your next mission was even more difficult: to establish an undersea cable to the United States via the Azores that would link the Supreme Headquarters of the Allied Expeditionary Force, SHAEF, in Europe, and the War Department in Washington. It was also very dangerous. The town where the cable would begin, Eurville-Hague, 8 miles from Cherbourg, was filled with German landmines. A mine clearing unit from the US Army found dozens of mustard-sport anti-personnel mines, anti-tank mines, and more than 100 shrapnel anti-personnel mines that could cause terrible injuries at the location. And despite these precautions, not all the mines were found. One of the trucks in your unit hit one of these deadly explosives and the driver was terribly wounded. He had to be evacuated to England immediately. You were able to survive these dangers and the war. More than 400,000 of your fellow servicemen did not. May they rest in peace. You and your unit arranged for a building that would protect the cable to be constructed, diesel generators to be installed, and for personnel to operate them. But after an initial test, there was still a lot of work to be done to balance the signals. And there were many technical complications, which you had solved. By December 5th, 1944, you had helped establish a secure link between the Supreme Headquarters of SHAEF in Europe and Washington, D.C. Your role in setting up this overseas communication system was crucial and complex. In the end, the cable could receive about 350,000 five-letter groups at one time. You and your unit also played an important role during the Rhineland campaign on France's western border with Germany. At one station, you were supposed to build, you received generators and the supplies for a building, but no power cable. You had to liberate about 1,000 feet of cable the British had saved from a German station to complete it. You were so good at what you did that after the war ended, the army asked you to stay in Europe as a civilian station chief, as was already mentioned. And even if we understand from the story you told that the salary was generous, your priorities were elsewhere, and your daughter told us very well about that. Because you wanted to go home, and this is very understandable also after all what you did so bravely in France. So you returned to the United States and had a wonderful career as an electrical engineer with General Electric and Xerox. You married Marjorie Pierce in 1947. You had 11 children who have blessed you with 38 grandchildren, 22 great-grandchildren. Soon, in April, you will turn 103 years old. For your heroic service, you have received many medals, including the American Campaign Medal, the European, African, Middle Eastern Campaign Medal with 3 campaign stars for Normandy, Northern France and Rhineland, the Army Good Conduct Medal, and the World War II Victory Medal. Today, it is France's turn to honor you with this highest distinction, which is long overdue. So now, Mr. Sheckler, for your role in liberating France and Europe during World War II, we are humbled to award you the Medal of the Legion of Honor. France will never forget what you did for her and how essential your contribution has been to liberate my country. And now let us proceed to the award. I have just to say something. If this is the first time you see a French ceremony of the Legion of Honor, the phrase, because we represent the French president, has to be said in French. So I think I will not need to translate, so don't worry. It's quite short, but very clear. Okay.
I was also a French student.
Monsieur Addison Sheckler, au nom du président de la République et en vertu des pouvoirs qui me sont conférés, je vous remets les insignes de chevalier de la Légion d'honneur.
And now, friends, I'd ask you, before you sit down, in celebration of this historic moment and the 250 years of friendship between the United States and the Republic of France, Madame Sophia Ferradas will lead us in the singing of the La Marseillaise, the French national anthem.
Mom's done this before, but it takes a while.
It's a real,
For you,
for me, darling.
yeah.
Τραγουδήσεις το γαλλικό εθνικό ύμνο.
A los enfants de la
Ναι, το τραγουδήσεις όπως το τραγούδησες. Okay, just like you sang it in the Col de Paris when you were a kid. Right? Everybody's ready.
Les jours de croire t'arriver, continue de la tyrannie, et dans sa grande levée, et dans sa grande levée, attendez-vous dans les campagnes. can see it. Okay. Whose arms citoyen, ferme bataillon, marchons, marchons, que c'est pour approuver.
Abreuve nos sillons. Bravo.
Please be seated, everyone. A few things very important about Madame Ferradas. She is the wife of French Legion of Honor recipient Corporal George Ferradas. 3104 Signal Service Company, the same unit as Sir Addison served with in France. Sir George received his Legion of Honor in 2018. I had the honor of helping his son with the paperwork and coordinated his ceremony in Continental, Ohio in 2018. Born in Greece as a little girl, Madame Ferradas played a very active part in the Greek resistance, combating enemy occupation in her own homeland. Along the way, she learned how to speak French. Her son James, who accompanied her today all the way from Canton, Ohio, is working on preserving the vital role of the 3104th and what it played in World War II, some of which is on display in the back of the room. I would like to turn the mic over to James for just a short moment to remember his father, congratulate Sir Sheckler, and share some thoughts about the 3104. James.
Sirs, Mesdames, Master Sergeant Sheckler, Consul General, very privileged to be here. If it hadn't been for a Luna moth on a Facebook Easter moth in the United States and Donna, this might not have ever happened. I saw the name Sheckler while I was looking at the website on the moth and asked her, are you related to Cal? Because I was in conversation with Cal in the early 2000s about the history of the 3104th, which my father was part of. I was also in conversation with the late Lieutenant Colonel Frank Grubbs, whose, I guess, title I now share, which is the director of the 3104th Signal Service Battalion Association, which was Frank's wish to complete. The problem was, behind Master Sergeant Sheckler is a picture of the signal company when they were at Seagrid, but it doesn't include the cable team because the cable team was still getting their training in Western Digital before they came over to Queen Mary. Those men sailed in the Ariangata. There are also two roles of the line companies that are there, and I put them all there so they could see Cal get it, because every one of those 1,100 soldiers were in France fighting for the French people, and every one of them deserved this medal that we're able to see two members of the same signal company get. And they were all brilliant. They were all hard workers. And their contributions to electronics, to engineering, to subsea technology are incredible. Some of them probably still under wraps. And part of that was, like Cal came home after the war, he beat his sword to the plowshare, and he went on to raise a family and to, serve this community through engineering and many achievements in communications. My dad was part of an agency that motto was serve in silence. We serve in silence. He was in the ancestral unit of that agency, one of them called the Army Security Agency, which before that was the Signal Security Agency. Dad was Detachment Alpha, 3104th Signal Service Battalion. So he and Cal might not be able to talk to each other for decades. Okay? So when I talked to Cal about Dad, I asked him about mines, because my dad had basically spotted a few. He was pretty good at spotting the little prongs of a bouncing Betty mine sticking out of the ground, and saved more than one of the guys he was with. But when I talked to Cal, I don't know if he remembers this, he goes, "You should have seen him. He was shaking all over when he dug that thing up." And Dad, of course, is like, "I don't remember shaking all over. It must have been something else." I'm like, "Yeah, right." So, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're alive, because we still have that book on courts and humanity to complete that we talked about. And I owe you my apology, because the motto of the Signal Corps was Pro Patria Vigilance, and along with servant silence. Once I found out that any statement my dad made for the public record had to be approved by the NSA Public Affairs Office, I stopped talking to any of these guys until Dad won the Legion of Honor, and the French Consul General made a statement of public record what Detachment Alpha was doing, and at the same time the ArmySecurityAgency.org showed that my dad was Mr. T. I pity the fool, but he managed to serve this country from 1939 when Wilson Weckel in Canton, Ohio, trained him in ham radio, and they went on with the Canton ARL's help, along with Pittsburgh and a number of other towns who had amateur radio leagues. They triangulated on the Duquesne ring and stopped a Nazi spy unit here in the United States. From being a sophomore in high school serving his country to catch Nazi spies, to the death of Osama bin Laden, my father served this nation in silence, which humble warriors do. You pass them on the street and you don't realize how much they owe. Here in New York, I'm very happy to be back here. I was a toddler here when Dad was at Griffiths Air Force Base serving the Tactical Air Command, and GIA with Colonel George Getz and General Robert Merrill Lee in the 60s. So it's an honor to see you here, sir, carrying that on. So I'll talk about other stuff later, but yes, we're trying to put together a thing called basically no downtime or following the wire, the rolling history of the 3104 Signal Service Battalion. And now that we have enough of the elements outed through historians, I think it's safe for us to say that the stories these men had and any of their families remember of their own parents that might have been on 3104th can be assembled as a citizen science project, which will do what you were talking about, is teach the next generation by building a rolling replica of the 3104th Signal Service Battalion's 6th Circus, which was mentioned in 2018 when that guy's aboard, but is there. So I'm going to stop with that because I'm hard keeping a minute. You know my penchant for brevity. Thank you very much. It's an honor.
Thank you, James. I've had the honor of being at the Ferradas House a couple of times, and I just want to say thank you to James. He's very cerebral and committed to telling his father's story and that of Cal's. So, and all the boys of the 3104. It's vital that we do share that and get that information. Moving on to now the happy time of getting, after the medal has been bestowed, we have all of our federal and state legislators, as well as the governor, that will present Sir Addison Sheckler, and what an honor it is to actually pronounce that for the first time. So, yes, of course. Of course. Do you want to do that now? Okay, I'll bring a microphone over to you.
Just wanted to say a few things.
I have a backup plan.
Well, yes, okay, that one's easier. A war isn't all any one thing. It's a lot of things, and we've heard about a lot of them already today. And I want to add a couple, and one sad one, to this too, because I think we have to recognize all of the people who did these things. The group of 10 people that you heard about were me and 9 other people who had never done anything of any consequence to the job we were asked to do, but who worked throughout the war, had things that they did not understand, and did it very diligently, but for not recognized for the part they did. But there were a couple of things that I want to talk about. One of them is, I forget things too easily. There was a very sad thing that happened during the time that we were doing all this. It was Christmas Eve, and everybody in the harbor in Syracuse, in France, had gone home for dinner, for a Christmas dinner, and a troop ship tried to pull into Syracuse, tried to pull into the station to discharge its 1,500 people. In the paper, in the last few weeks or months, I forget when it was done, that ship was torpedoed. We were standing on the shore, looking directly as the ship as it went down. I want to add some of the reality of what happened during the war. I have one other thing I would like to bring to your attention. I hope everybody saw that. It was in the newspaper here a few months ago, but it wasn't very well covered. But it was reality. We had to stand on the shore and watch it happen and could not do anything to help the people. However, we want to thank France. I don't know whether you know it or not, but France is now 70% nuclear for its power system, by far the greatest in the world. Nobody else is even close to them. We're not close to them. We're considerably less percentage-wise doing this. There was a third thing I wanted to bring up, and for the soul of me, I'm afraid I can't.
Because I think this will keep on going, right? We have other things, so as soon as you remember it, we give the mic back to you, all right?
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll bring this back now when we're ready for part 2. What Cal was talking about is the torpedoing of the SSS Leopold. And that particular ship did go down on Christmas Eve, 1944. Many of the rosettes, which are tributes to the missing, adorn the wall of the missing at the Normandy American Cemetery in Normandy. And one of my very good friends was a Coast Guard rescue swimmer. He just passed away about a year ago. Jack Hamlin is his name, and he did rescue some of those boys in the water. And just exactly like you called it, many of the people on shore were enjoying Christmas dinner while their colleagues were drowning. So let us remember them. Moving on to the federal legislative documents, and unfortunately, the representative for Senator Charles Schumer could not be here today. And sadly, his grandmother passed away just a few days ago, and her funeral was today. So I have been working on a time machine for several years, unsuccessful, but nevertheless working on it. And the particular fellow, Bernard Alexander, I said to him, I said, it's too bad I haven't perfected that yet. Maybe I'll get Mr. Sheckler to help me. So, I know how desperately he wanted to be here today, but of course, family first. And especially, he wanted to attend today to honor his grandfather that served in the Pacific in World War II. So, Bernard, rest in peace to your grandmother. Also, unable to be with us today is United States Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, but I am pleased to introduce the Senator's Regional Director of Rochester of the Finger Lakes region. Mr. Austin Pounce has served as the Senator's Regional Director for nearly 3 years, rejoining her office from the New York State Assembly, where he worked on legislation related to child care, domestic violence, and social services. To present Sir Sheckler with a congratulatory letter and tribute and reflections on behalf of Senator Gillibrand, please kindly welcome Mr. Austin Pounce.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Austin Ponce, and I serve as Senator Gillibrand's Regional Director for Rochester and the Finger Lakes. She regrets that she cannot be here today, but it is my distinct privilege and honor to be here to recognize Master Sergeant Sheckler's service and his prestigious honor that has been awarded to him today. Before we start, I'd just like to briefly recognize the men and women of post number 457. My many colleagues here in federal, state, and local government that are all here, with a special thanks to Assembly Members Lamondis and Maintolo for their service and for being here today, as well as our allies and representatives from France, Deputy Consul General Gill, for recognition of Master Sergeant Sheckler's service and for being here to bestow upon him the French Legion of Honor. As the great-grandson of a recently departed World War II veteran, it brings me a lot of personal joy to be here. And although you grew up in different sides of the country, I'm sure under vastly different circumstances, on a very personal note, I see a through line in how you lived your lives and how you carried yourself. I see a duty to one's country and a duty to one's family that, frankly, I think we would all be better off if more folks emulated that style and that way to live one's life that was commonly found in the greatest generation you belong to. So thank you not only for your service in the war, but for your service back home to your family and your friends and your loved ones. I would just like to share a brief message on behalf of the Senator and say that in a moment of profound importance, your expertise helped resolve a complex technical challenge and ensured the continuity of vital communications. Contributions such as yours were essential to victory, and I'm glad that your service is being formally recognized by our French allies. Thank you for your service to the United States and for a lifetime defined by leadership, continuity, and commitment to country. Your example stands as a powerful reminder of the lasting impact that one individual can have on history. And it is for these reasons that I am more than happy and honored to present on her behalf a congratulatory letter from Senator Gillibrand, as well as a flag that has been flown over the United States Capitol. So once again, congratulations on being awarded the French Legion of Honor, and thank you for your service.
Austin, it doesn't bite, get up there. Thank you, Austin. Thank you. All the documents that are presented today will go on the table behind Sir Sheckler. And obviously, it would take a long time to read everything that's on those documents. So I've asked all our legislators to have brief remarks in regards to what is on them. But for those of you that are interested in looking at the full text of those documents, please and enjoy that on your own. Thank you. Busy time in Washington, for sure. And unfortunately, Congresswoman Tenney could not be with us here today. But Mr. Josh Fahey, who serves as the Congresswoman's Finger Lakes Outreach Director, has kindly joined us today to represent her. As one of the Congressman's representatives, Josh aids in the Congresswoman in identifying the issues of importance affecting residents of New York's 24th Congressional District. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Josh Fahey.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Josh Fahey, Finger Lakes Outreach Director for Congresswoman Claudia Tenney. It's my honor to join you all here today on the Congresswoman's behalf as we gather to recognize Master Sergeant Addison Sheckler as he is presented with the French Legion of Honor. Master Sergeant Sheckler is a member of the greatest generation. He represents the very best of us and sets the example for future generations to follow. Today's presentation serves as an opportunity to honor the courage and sacrifice of our World War II veterans and celebrate the deep bonds shared between the peoples of the United States of America and the French Republic. On behalf of Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, I am proud to present Master Sergeant Addison Sheckler with a flag flown over the United States Capitol at the Congresswoman's request in recognition of today's ceremony, as well as a certificate. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Josh. Thank you for doing it. Representing Sir Addison's community of Cato and Central New York's 48th Senate District is State Senator Rachel May. Following a lengthy academic career at Syracuse University, she was elected to the New York State Senate in 2018 and has since focused on legislation protecting consumer rights, making best and practical use of our natural resources, and advocacy for the elderly, among other initiatives and reforms. With a doctorate and master's degrees to her list of credentials, she proudly serves the citizens of Syracuse, Auburn, and numerous rural towns within central New York. Ladies and gentlemen, please kindly welcome New York State Senator Rachel May.
Hi, everybody. It's beautiful to see such a crowd here to honor you. Master Sergeant Sheckler, and to thank the government of France for this incredible honor. As you heard, I represent the 48th Senate District, which is where Sir Sheckler lives, and by Senate protocol, that's why I have the privilege of offering on behalf of the New York State Senate a proclamation, but I offer it also on behalf of Senator Helming, who represents the district where we are located. And this is a proclamation honoring Addison Sheckler upon the occasion of receiving the Ordre National de la Légion d'honneur. Doing my best. And I will also be brief and won't read the words of it, but I just want to say, after hearing and reading so much about your life, I feel like what we're honoring today is the combination of ingenuity and bravery, but especially the incredible fortune that we have as a country and that France had as a country of having the right person in the right place at the right time who could solve the kinds of problems that needed to be solved at that time. The Syracuse stage had a play in this fall called The Hello Girls, and it was about telephone switchboard operators who went to France in World War I in order to allow there to be rapid and reliable communication between all the different parts of the front. And they played a very important role in victory in that war. And it's wonderful that we're now celebrating the critical importance of communications, reliable communications in the Second World War as well. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that, like Senator Helming, I'm the proud daughter of a Korean War veteran, but my grandfather served in World War I and then re-enlisted at the end of World War II after he would help to win that war in order to restore the rule of law in Germany. And so I'm very proud of that heritage as well, and the many ways that the war was fought and conducted. So on behalf of the New York State Senate, I'm so proud to offer this proclamation to you.
Thank you, Senator May. And again, I appreciate it was your father's service and your grandfather's. I didn't know that. So God bless you. At this time, I would like Senator Helming to return to the podium. She also has a citation. If you want to say another few words, or you're good.
Thank you so much, the country of France, for acknowledging Sir Sheckler's incredible service. Thank you very much. Sir, on behalf of the great state of New York, we thank you for your incredible service, everything that you've done, and it is an honor to present you with this New York State Senate citation. Thank you for your service. I don't know how you split that up among 11 civil. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So sometimes mail moves a little slower than in one part versus another. Assemblyman Lamond has also crafted up a proclamation for Mr. Sheckler. It's still in a mail truck somewhere. And so Assemblyman, if you'd like to come up for a moment and just say a few words, and then I'll move on to Assemblyman Galvin.
Sir Sheckler, and your family. It's a great honor to be able to give you a recognition proclamation from the Assembly. As your Assemblyman, it's really something to not only be here to speak about what you've done in your life and what it meant for all of us in our whole country, but to actually recognize you formally. This will be provided to your family. So, sir, thank you very much, and you have earned this dearly, and we all appreciate it and everything you've done for us.
Thank you. A welcome addition to today's program is Assemblyman Jeff Gallahan, who represents the Assembly District 131 of New York. District 131 encompasses all of Ontario County, of which the village of Phelps sets, as well as portions of Seneca County. Assemblyman Gallahan has a presentation for Sergeant Sheckler from his office and the great citizens of District 131.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the mighty 131. I had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Sheckler before these proceedings began, and I learned a lot in a short period of time. The sacrifice, secrecy, the 9 other gentlemen that he served with, and that communications that he referred to over the years, the breaking the line, how they fixed it, all the different things that were just mesmerizing for me. I am the proud son of a World War II veteran in the South Pacific. My dad served, and like Mr. Sheckler, never talked about it. One story I got at 5 o'clock in the morning in the duck line, and the rest of the stories he took to his grave. But it's an honor and a privilege to be here, and thank the mayor for the invite to celebrate today your special presentation and award. I have a citation here from myself and the citizens of the 131st. And I also have a New York State flag that was flown in your honor over the capital of New York State and Albany. So thank you so much for your service. Thank you for all you've done. Thank you for your family sacrifice and everything that you contributed much after the war with your education as an electrical engineer. And I'm so glad to hear that I didn't know you worked for Xerox. So the Wilson family is near and dear to my heart. So I'm glad to hear you work there. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Assemblyman Gallahan. Also representing nearby District 130 here today is Assemblyman Brian, and excuse me, Brian, I'm going to try. I've been practicing. Brian Mantolin. Yes, close enough. Thank you. And Brian represents Wayne County and also Monroe County. And he is also here to present a citation or a proclamation on behalf of Sir Sheckler and the people of District 130. So thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone, and Eric, thank you for introducing me. And I've had my name my whole life, and I still have trouble with my last name. So I have a New York State Assembly citation here for the Master Sergeant. I spoke with him a little earlier, and I want to share something about his dedication to our country and how your family, his life affected me. So as I've listened to all of the speakers talk a little bit, I got thinking about what the Master Sergeant has done in his life, in his service to our country. And it's so remarkable because, Master Sergeant, you and I have so much in common. You really do. You're a Master Sergeant. I was only a sergeant, so you're a little higher up than I am. When I got out of the service, I ended up having a 4,000-acre field crop farming operation for many years. I have 5 kids, and you have 11, so you're definitely involved. Many grandchildren, but what's so unique is your grandson Nathan, who's here, with his wife Abigail. Abigail's father was a John Deere salesman, and that's how we have become friends, him servicing me on the farm. And because of the things you did, it allowed all of us to have some sort of connection many, many years later. But to the family, I want to share this. My grandfather, 2 of his brothers were in World War II. They were both POWs. They both came home. They were both on the farm as well. And because of the work that your dad, your grandfather, your husband did, I'm sure that affected the ability for my dad's uncles, my second uncles, to come home safely. And Master Sergeant, because of you, you've affected my life and my family's life, and there's no greater calling than what you did to serve them, not knowing how and what would happen after that time. So on behalf of my family, the Mankelos, I want to say thank you for allowing them to come home safely and be part of society. And I want to thank you for your dedication again. In just a few words that we shared when I first came in, you are definitely a remarkable man. The last thing I want to say is, he gets up at 4 o'clock, I get up about 5 o'clock in the usual bit, so we got one on me. But I just want to say thank you for allowing me to say a few words this afternoon, because this individual, along with his family, is truly remarkable. And it's an honor to be here to see a World War II veteran that's 102 and hopefully 103 very soon. So God bless all of you, God bless our men and women in service, and God bless the Sheckler family, so thank you.
Table starting, you're welcome, brother. Thank you. Thank you. You know, he's just getting up that early so he can make you breakfast. One more legislative, or actually from the executive branch of the state of New York. At this time, I would like to invite Jason Shattuck, Deputy Commissioner with the New York State Department of Veteran Services, to present on behalf of the Governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, Veteran Service Commissioner Viviana DeCohen, and the citizens of the state of New York, a certificate of recognition celebrating our Francis newest presented Chevalier, a decorated combat veteran of the United States Marine Corps and the United States Army 101st Airborne Division, providing guidance and oversight. He assists the Department of Veteran Services team in support of veterans programs available across the state of New York. Ladies and gentlemen, please, very sincere welcome for both a devil dog and a screaming eagle, Jason Shattuck.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor to be here. It's not only an honor to be here for me, with our friends here from the American Legion Post 457, but we also share greetings on behalf of Viviana DeCohen, Commissioner of New York State Department of Veteran Services, and Governor Kathy Hochul during this extraordinary moment of recognition, remembrance, and gratitude. Today, we honor Master Sergeant Addison C. Sheckler, whose service during World War II helped shape the course of history, literally, and whose quiet brilliance reminds us that heroism does not always announce itself. Master Sergeant Sheckler entered military service in April of 1943, at a time when the world was defined by uncertainty and sacrifice. Like so many of his generation, he answered the call without hesitation. What makes his story remarkable is not only where he served, but how. As a member of the 3104th Signal Battalion, Master Sergeant Sheckler stood at the intersection of innovation and necessity. His mission was not carried out on a visible front line, but behind the scenes, ensuring that Allied commanders could communicate securely across the Atlantic at a moment when every decision mattered. Following the Normandy invasion, as Allied forces pushed across France, Master Sergeant Sheckler and his fellow Signal Corps specialists worked under demanding, dangerous conditions to establish a direct undersea cable connection between Europe and the United States. This was not theoretical work. It was urgent, exacting, and essential. When technical failures threatened that communication, it was Master Sergeant Sheckler who identified the true cause of the problem and helped devise the solution, enabling reliable communication between Supreme Allied Headquarters in Europe and Washington. That secure line of communication resulted in a near 100% transmission success rate, helping commanders coordinate operations, move forces, and make decisions that save lives and hasten the end of the war in Europe. This kind of sacrifice rarely appears in headlines or history books, but without it, history itself will look very different. As someone who served during combat, I know regardless of operational size, mission success is driven by communications. The old adage, shoot, move, and communicate. History has taught us time and again, without reliable communication, no military operation can remain solvent long term. This real-world understanding shaped my deep respect for service in all its forms, especially service like that demonstrated by Master Sergeant Sheckler. Our agency was created as a result of World War II veterans. Myself, and I tell my children all the time, our successes are not ours. We stand on the shoulder of giants. And Master Sergeant, you are a living giant. The French Legion of Honor, established more than 2 centuries ago, remains France's highest distinction, reserved for those who made a meaningful difference to France and history itself. We are deeply honored that Emmanuel Macron, President of the French Republic, has approved Master Sergeant Sheckler's appointment as a Chevalier of Legion of Honor, recognizing his role in France's liberation and the lasting impact of his service. We also thank the French delegation, Deputy Consul Gil, that is here with us today. This summer, I sent my daughter, Kathleen, on a World War II tour of Europe, starting in England and moving her way through France and into Germany, following the Allied advances through Europe. As I was talking to Deputy Consul before this presentation, my daughter was extremely touched by the gratitude and appreciation of the French people and their dedication to preserving our most sacred monuments and honoring the sacrifices that we made. And it really speaks truly to our shared history. Master Sergeant, your life reflects the best and the greatest generation: service before self, excellence without expectation of recognition, and humility in the face of achievement. Master Sergeant Sheckler once reflected, what he and his fellow Signal Corps members did may not have seemed heroic at the time, but history tells us otherwise. By perfecting a connection, he helped shorten a war. By doing his job with precision, skill, and care, he helped save countless lives. Master Sergeant Sheckler, on behalf of New York and our Department of Veteran Services and a grateful nation, thank you for your service and enduring legacy. Before we conclude, it is my privilege to share that in recognition of this historic honor and a lifetime of service, Governor Hochul has issued an official citation commending Master Sergeant Sheckler for his extraordinary contributions during World War II. In addition, our Commissioner, Viviana DeCohen, and the New York State Department of Veteran Services are proud to present a certificate of recognition honoring Master Sergeant Sheckler. Thank you for all in attendance today, and Sir Sheckler, thank you for your service to our country. Thank you. This is Governor Kathy Holton, your proclamation honoring your service. And from our agency and our Commissioner, Viviana DeCohen, our entire agency, is a certificate of recognition. Thank you very much.
Thank you. One other addition to the program here, and again, I'm honored and privileged to asked for State Commander of the New York American Legion, John Vega, to come to the podium, and he would like to congratulate Sir Sheckler and say a few words of his own. So, everyone, John Vega.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be here today for this ceremony. On behalf of the American Legion Department of New York, it is my honor to stand with you today as we witness a moment in history. The presentation of France's highest distinction, the Legion of Honor, to one of our own, Addison Sheckler. The award is not given lightly. It is reserved for those whose courage and service directly contributed to the location, liberation of France, and the preservation of freedom during humanity's darkest hours. We recognize not only extraordinary military service, but a lifetime of quiet, strength, humility, and devotion to country. Mr. Sheckler, your actions during World War II helped shape the world we live in. You carried out your mission with skill, determination, and an unwavering sense of duty. France remembers America. France remembers, America remembers, and the American Legion remembers. We also extend our gratitude to the representation of the French government for ensuring that those acts of heroism are never forgotten, and for honoring the men and women who helped restore liberty to their nation. To the Sheckler family, thank you for sharing your loved one with the world. The service belongs to history, but the story belongs to you. And finally, to the community and to the Post 457, thank you for keeping these traditions alive. Ceremonies like this remind us that freedom is not an inheritance, it is a responsibility. Congratulations, Addison Sheckler, and thank you for your service to the United States of America and to the cause of freedom worldwide. Thank you very much.
Entering into his 18th year as mayor of the village of Phelps, nothing more need be said about the integrity of our final guest speaker than the confidence entrusted in him by the citizens of Phelps itself. Obvious to me is the patriotism exhibited by this community and of this post. Like so many others from Phelps, he is a member of the Sons of American Legion Post 457 and following his own family's legacy of those that it served. Notably, his grandfather, father, brother, and uncles, including one that was part of the D-Day invasion of Normandy, George King, has driven him to reach and maintain a high standard. Ladies and gentlemen, please kindly welcome James Cheney, Mayor of the Village of Phelps.
Before I turn to Cal, I want to say something first about Eric. Eric called me about 2.5 weeks ago and said, Tom, sound you can't hear me. Can you hear me in the back now? Tom called me about 2.5 weeks ago and told me what was going to be happening today and said, I really need some help to pull this together. The community and the Legion really stepped up very quickly and pulled this together, but it really is Eric, and we really, he's thanked everybody else, but we need to thank Eric. I've known Cal and the Sheckler family for a long time, and so I'm one of the few people in the room outside of the family that's heard the stories about it. And he talks about it like it was nothing. It's so amazing that he can be so humble about what they did. So I'm going to be brief, Cal, because a lot of people have already said a lot of things, but congratulations I'm proud that everyone's here. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for coming to Phelps, and welcome for being here. And Cal, your community is proud, your family is proud, we're all proud of you. Congratulations and thank you. I do have a proclamation from the village, but just wanted to say thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Jim, thank you. I don't deserve it, really, truly. It's Cal that deserves the honor. This last page is really from my heart. And I want to thank everybody for being here today to honor Cal Sheckler and our allies from France and each other. I grew up in a small town about 10 miles south of Pittsburgh, and my grandfather, John F. Montgomery, also the mayor of his small town for 16 years. Too young to serve in World War I, too old to serve in World War II, became an air warden. His job was to make sure that everyone in their home, that their interior's lights could be hidden from the outside, blackout conditions as it was known, just in case the enemy would launch an attack from bases unknown and planes impossible to fly that far inland. It just seems a bit comical given what we know now. Yet that simple act did instill discipline and determination that we were going to win the war, no matter how long it may take us. Those same words, no matter how long it may take us, were professed by President Roosevelt in what has been known as his Day of Infamy speech, given on December 8, 1941. 2.5 years later, President Roosevelt delivered another speech with passages just as powerful. In his lesser-known speech delivered on the evening of D-Day itself, known as the D-Day prayer, he cited several other noteworthy ideals. That in battles yet to come beyond D-Day and Normandy itself, success may not come with rushing speed, and that only by the strength and resilience of our men, our sons, men like Cal Sheckler, George Ferratus, Armin Isbert, my great uncle, and all mentioned within today's program of the Greatest Generation, that preservation of our republic, our religion, and our civilization could and would be realized. Sadly, President Roosevelt died before the war ended, and he never did see that final victory he truly believed in. But at war's end in both Europe and the Pacific, General Douglas MacArthur also mentioned the will and fortitude each soldier carried with them throughout the war. Following the surrender ceremony held on the deck of the USS Missouri in Tokyo Bay on the 2nd of December 1945, General MacArthur took to the radio and addressed our nation. In his remarks, he reflected upon the sacrifices of millions of men like Cal and exclaimed, "My fellow countrymen, today I report to you that your sons and daughters have served you well and faithfully with a calm, deliberate, determined, fighting spirit. They are homeward bound. Take care of them." Indeed, by this time, 81 years ago, the world was on its way to returning to normal, with thousands of soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines returning home every single day. Home, to begin rebuilding the world in which we are blessed to live in today, with a spirit of innovation instilled in each and every one of them, opportunities for every citizen across every spectrum of society improved. But there's still a long way to go. Armed with those characteristics that General MacArthur alluded to in his radio address, characteristics which were forged in the crucible of war through advancements in technology and science, that generation, which we call in our time the greatest generation, applied both triumphs and tragedies to the cause of the greater good for all mankind, friend and foe alike. Men like Cal Sheckler, George Ferratus, and all the men of the 3104 Signal Service Battalion, and the greatest generation as a whole, laid the foundation for all of us to build a better world. Sir Addison I firmly believe that I can unequivocally say that everyone in this room values their liberty and freedom preserved by your heroism. We thank you. The liberty-loving people of the world thank you. And the enduring bond of friendship between France and the United States will be forever in your debt. May God bless you, Sir Sheckler. Before I hand over the mic back to Tom, again, I want to express my appreciation to Tom himself, John Sherman, and Bruce Ruthven, who managed the audio and provided some of the unseen, behind-the-scenes work to make all this possible. They, along with the post membership itself, the Sons of the American Legion, the Post Auxiliary, thank you for helping me make this special day possible for Cal and our friends from France. So Tom, as they say in show business, the stage is yours. Thank you for letting me borrow it for a while.
Eric, again, thank you very much. Now, the end is near. I promise not to take any more than just a couple more of your minutes. In closing today's ceremony, our post commander, Tom Baker, would like to welcome Sir Master Sergeant Sheckler as our newest post member of Sealy B Parish, Post 457. Dues and members 90 years and over are paid for by the post. How about that? So, welcome, Sir Sheckler, to Post 457. Now, please stay and enjoy some light refreshments prepared by our auxiliary, Sons of the American Legion. Cupcakes, cake, coffee, water, and adult beverages at the bar. Thank you. This ends our program.
So congested. I think we did that during the recreation show, right?
Danny. You guys need to maybe take a picture. Maybe I'll open that way. Where do you want to? He's getting them. Okay, so kind of in here. Getting a couple.
Yeah, that's fine. Guys, go up there, so go that way. Kind of go this way.
Yeah, and I gave the I want to give you
Andrew's, I don't think you've ever met Andrew.
The guy in the white hat with the camera? That's my husband.
Oh, that's your husband. Okay.
Jason's getting the picture too.
At the sanitarium? Yes, once. Yes. What's maybe that time? Yeah. That's what I mean. Like those houses coming on 96, what kind of money built that?
Always hyper pink. Where's your chief? They drive the temperature.
I really walked in.
Like the
I like it. I was really going to see Sergeant around and everything. And I just, I'm not thinking, I'm going. Strawberry right there. I just saw something on this. We'll get this done.
Still waiting back here for the supposed to have leaves for rest of the way here.
The worst part is 4 years.
I kind of slipped down the side here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Everyone's saying we got it.
Shecklers have their business and they have made out of wood. Cypress, something. Yeah, I got that whole thing. Is it still Johnny?
I figured they would be because it's all just mine.
Would you part? Would you part?
The purchase order was. I work each
Kind of rare.
Want to go get a cupcake?
Good. I was school teaching for his hair game, and I said, Danny's like, oh, this hair's not too bad. Mine, on the other hand, so I'm surprised your mom doesn't snip while you're sleeping.
I asked him, I started looking, it looks better when it's wet.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, seriously?
He needs to get it braided or twisted or something, so,
One of these
so that it
days.
hangs and stuff.
Hey guys. Laura, how do you feel?
Of course, he's got a blood now. I should say jump.
Set up the time with her. Although we did get everything out of the shed last night, but we made the church, so it was, we went today. The aluminum track doesn't like the changes on it. So last year we set it up Friday night, and then we keep it in the shed. And then Saturday morning we came in and it was all like out of whack, so we had to like recalibrate it all. But this time we brought it inside last night, hopefully it warms up. Just advising on this one. It's really good thing to do it themselves.
Because they said they were live streaming, so I don't know what's going on. We got 2 shout-outs. That was nice.
Oh, that part, okay. That's been all the movies lately, all the small boat accessible. You get the water. Oh, hey, but we follow real estate coming to
I will remember that.
He said they had tables that need to come out by the windows, but I guess he said a lot of the chairs were in that closet.
You set up the space there to go for it. I'm saying for the chair tables and
Thank you.